Please write this down. U.S.-China comparison. Yeah, very short one. U.S.-China comparison. And you can turn the page if you're running out of stuff like Danielle. I want you to, we're going to compare three things: area, territory, arable land, farmland, percent, and population. This made my head explode the first time I learned it, because I thought about what it means. So we'll go down the list. All right, so China and the U.S. Territory, area, just put the same, because it is. You saw it. It's roughly similar, right? Who cares about numbers? I don't know the numbers. Who cares? They're both big. China's a little bigger. But the point is they are very, very similar right there. Now, the United States, what's its population? 330 million, roughly. Let's call it a third of a billion. A third of a billion. That's the U.S. population today. Anybody here want to? Now, finally, arable land percentage for the United States. That country, you can farm 40% of it. 40% of that territory in the United States is farmable. Think of your Midwest, right? We don't call it the breadbasket of the world for nothing. Who else wants? Okay. China. Population? 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion, China. Now, here comes the dramatic one. China's arable land. How much? China has how many times people than the United States?
3 times.
A third of a billion times 1.3 billion? Over 4 times as many Chinese. For every American, there's 4.5 Chinese. Percent of China's arable land, 13%. 1-3. Talk amongst yourselves about why that should detonate in your head. Look at that. Look at the comparison. Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, I'm coming. You're welcome, Steve. I loved hearing that verb thing. You were on it. Seriously. Let yourself think. Okay, now, so I'm going to point to each of you. What's the most significant? We can take this in a million directions. We can take it in a million directions, but what's the most important implication, the most significant implication of the situation? Yeah.
The ratio of farmland to population is quite significant as
because
the state has 40% of its land suitable for farming, yet population is only 1/4 of China's roughly. But China only has 60%, by almost 3 times larger than the U.S.
It's 4 times larger, yeah.
Yeah, which is unexplainable. I don't get what's going on. I mean,
okay, so well, the factor we'll talk about in a minute, but what about the consequences of this to China? There's a very obvious thing, and tell me your name, I'm sorry. Jacqueline, I thought so.
It can cause, poverty in China because, of lack of resources, and they have to import and export, making items more expensive. Right.
So this arable land scarcity, farmland is scarce, plus a high population density. Clearly, we've got just a challenge to feed ourselves, right? When you couple it in with the fact that there was really nobody to trade with for 2,000 years, import, export, right? Where? That's really dramatic. So from then to now, China feeding itself is a serious, delicate thing. Famine is not unheard of. And worse yet, there are more factors that make famine even more heard of. As soon as I find a cup, good, because I want tea too. All right.